Some of y'all scare me because what do you mean we've been married for X amount of years because divorce is not an option? That is not a flex. I would not be bragging about that if I were you. I've been married for 13 years and divorce has always been an option for me. We were talking about this in my live today, like why I got married so young and like would I recommend it. And I would absolutely not recommend getting married young if divorce is not an option for you. I will divorce anybody at any time for any reason whatsoever. Divorce has always been an option for me. Even if it was going to be for a stupid reason, life is way too short to stay in an unhappy marriage just because divorce is not on the table or divorce is not an option. Longevity does not a happy marriage make. Please keep that in mind, especially if you are young, especially if you do plan on getting married in your 20s. I think that's a great time to get married as long as you don't care about getting divorced. Get married all you want as long as divorce is on the table for you. And I mean that, in a legal way too. Unfortunately, some states are trying to outlaw no-fault divorce. That will be really terrible. When the first one of those dominoes falls and the rest of them start falling, that is going to be harrowing. That's why I don't think it's a flex to say that we've been married for this long because it's not an option for us to not be married. Like, okay. The same way I feel about Christians saying that they're only a good person because like God saved them and like without God they would just be a terrible hedonist. Or you didn't just flex on me, you just told on yourself, because that's not how most people think. And whenever people say that, I just know that they've never been in an actually happy relationship. We've been together this long, but leaving is just not an option for us. I just can't take you seriously at all. That's crazy. You have free will. You are a free human being. And if divorce is an option for you legally, by God, it should always be on the table. And if your husband is weird about that, he married you to trap you. He married you to try and control you. This is exactly the kind of propaganda that men tell women in order to keep women trapped in sad, miserable, terrible marriages. Back in my grandparents' day and age, you didn't just throw something away when it was broken, you fixed it. And it's like, no, women just didn't have the rights to divorce men back then. Women didn't have that option. That's why they had to stay and fix it. It being a grown man who was unwilling to treat them like an equal human being. That's not a good reason to stay in a marriage, by the way. Please don't fall for that. The moment a man starts talking to you about, oh, when we get married, divorce is just not on the table for me. First of all, know that divorce is always on the table for a man. The moment that you start displeasing a man, he will divorce you immediately. Or he'll just cheat on you. I think cheating is worse. He's exposing you to all sorts of risk. That I feel like is worse. So a lot of men will be like, yeah, me and my wife didn't get divorced. Like divorce is not an option for us. And it's like, sir, how many times have you cheated on her? Because I bet you it's more than one. That's usually what I hear when people say shit like that. Because divorce should always be an option. Remember that, ladies. It's an option no matter what. And if your man was a real one, he would never want you to stay past the point that you want to be there. The only kind of men who talk like this are men who do not plan on pursuing you as a partner and want you to get used to living in misery. Divorce, leaving is not an option. Finding somebody that treats you better is not an option. Treating yourself better than I'm currently able to treat you is not an option. That's unhinged. That's scary. You should be wary of people who talk like that, or people who tout their long marriages as some sort of a gotcha card or some sort of like credibility. A long marriage does not a credibility make. Why are you married? Why are you still married? Why are you married today? That's the kind of shit I want to hear about. I don't want to hear about, no, oh, we're still married because back in our time, back in our generation, if it was broken, you would fix it. No. People can switch up, especially when you get married really young. I talked about this on the live too, but my husband and I just got really lucky that we happened to be so aligned. A lot of that is frankly because he's much more evolved than a lot of other men. He's very thoughtful. He wants to learn. He wants to grow. He's not afraid of discomfort. His ego is not the most important thing in the world to him. All that to say, he would completely agree with me. It would be scary to me as a woman, just as a person in general, it would be scary to me to live my life in that mindset of, oh, I don't have the option of leaving a situation. You have that option everywhere else. You can quit your job, you can break your lease, you can get divorced. Sure, some of those things come with penalties, consequences, uncertainty, etc. But that's all part of your free human will. And if the government or, another person tried to tell you that you can't quit your job, or that you have to stay somewhere where you're not being treated right, or just anywhere you don't want to be. Like if somebody tried to tell you, oh, you can only shop at Target from now on. Even if you loved Target, you'd be like, no, that's not, I want to have the choice, right? I don't want to go to Target because I'm forced to go to Target. I want to go to Target because I choose to go to Target. You know what I mean? That's called free will. You would be oppressed, technically, by default, if somebody were to take some of those choices and options away from you. So what makes it okay to do that in a marriage? Think about it. And stay safe out there, ladies. I love you so much. Godspeed.